of Professor Mette Morsing, the head of PRIME. Professor.
Mikołaj Pindelski, thank you so very much. It's my true pleasure to welcome you all to this, the very first PRIME Chapter Talks webinar. It's the first in a series where all PRIME chapters are invited to share, to discuss some of the challenges on responsible management education and the sustainable development goals that we are working with on a daily basis at our business schools, our management schools all around the world. So the idea here is really to hear from different parts of the world, the experiences, the strategies, the ideas from the broader PRIME community. And I may just remind you all that on October 20, we will have the second PRIME Chapter Talks led by the Brazilian chapter, Jose Fares, same time as today. But first of all, let me say a warm thank you to Professor Mikołaj Pindelski, Chapter Chair of PRIME Chapter Central Eastern Europe, for actually daring to take on the very first of our PRIME Chapter Talks here today and to organize this with us and to host this exciting first PRIME Chapter Talk. And thank you to Warsaw School of Economics, where you are positioned also for supporting this exciting endeavor we are about to witness over the past, over the next hour here. I just have to say that I've personally been looking forward to this, so I'm very excited about what's going to happen here over the next hour. So thank you very much, Mikołaj Pindelski.
Thank you, Professor Mette Morsing. Thank you very much. Professor Assylbek, Kozhakhmetov, the head of the Almaty Management School, University. Sorry. Can you just turn on your audio? I think it's off. We cannot hear you, Professor Assylbek. We cannot hear you. Can you hear? Is there anyone who can hear Professor Assylbek? No.
You can't hear, no.
Assylbek, you need to unmute. You need to turn on the sound. Yeah. And say
okay. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Dear Mette, Mikołaj, dear speakers and participants, I'm happy to join you today for the Central and East European Chapter Talks. On behalf of Almaty Management University, shortly ALMAU, I'm glad to be a part of this team and look forward to a fruitful partnership. At ALMAU, responsibility and responsible management is an integral part of our daily operations and strategic plans. It is recognized by ALMAU being highly ranked in the Times Higher Education Impact, taking 301st place. Our achievements have been recognized also by the Seaman Champions Awards in Responsible Management in 2011. I'm sure engagement in this chapter would only be benefit to our current endeavors to do more. As a newcomer of the PRME board on global scale, I want to make an impactful contribution globally. In that sense, I have a suggestion to run an online event sometimes in the academic year, jointly with you in Russian, to engage wider academia in the Russian-speaking regions of the world. ALMAU is happy to design the agenda. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much. And well, just it should be me who is to give you some welcome words, but using the opportunity that my boss is here. So Jacek, can you say some welcome words?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mikołaj. So I'm really happy that we can host again a meeting of the PRIME chapter here. Our school is highly engaged in all the activities related to the goals of PRIME. So I hope we can have good discussions here, and we can have good presentations to set us on the right track in this new environment to some extent, so that we can get our activities better organized for the coming months and the coming actually academic year. So we are in our school starting the new academic semester within the next couple of weeks. So we are all hopeful that we can make our activities more dynamic and be more helpful to the society and to make the society really accelerating and doing good things. Yeah, so thank you very much. Welcome here.
Thank you very much, Professor. So, well, just from my side, I would like to thank all of you for joining us and for being the part of the team, of our team. So just that's a great opportunity to all of us, and I think just we can hammer out something that is really worth and that's really helpful to all the problems that society faces now, and it's as a global society. So just the local problems very quick become global problems. So I would like to ask Evgenia. So Evgenia Pashkevich, a professor from Ranepa, Russian Presidential Academy from Moscow. And well, just to some of you who do not know Evgenia is a professor at Ranepa, as I told you. Just she's more to, of course, she's definitely she will tell you more about herself, and then she is to launch and trigger out our discussion for today. So after Evgenia's speech, so just there will be time to ask questions and discuss a little bit. And then at the end, after we discuss that, so just at the end, I would like to ask Vanessa Moutinho to share with us interesting insights she is doing in Brazil on the brink. She lives on the edge of favelas in Rio. So, and she is a very engaged social entrepreneur, and she is to help the locals to live more decent, and which is very interesting about her background, academic and etc. So just how he remains very decent person in the nowadays world. So just that might be interesting. So Evgenia.
Okay, thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity to talk. And I think most of you know me. All of the names that I see are familiar to me, but just in case. So I'm representing here, and I work for the Russian Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, specifically in the business school of the Academy, which is called the Institute of Business Studies. We are quite active, in prime, let's say, compared to other Russian schools, especially because there are not that many of them. Our school is also a member of the Prime Champions group. Now we're in the second cycle already. And I'm primarily in charge of international and accreditations, but also our prime activities. I'm not the only one there. Other colleagues, of course, who are involved in this. So again, it's very nice to see you all, to see the familiar faces, and it's like a beacon of stability, let's say, in those troubling times. Well, anyways, I plan to talk a little bit about what we as educational institutions and we as educators can do, what kind of help we can offer our students at the time of the pandemic, to help them maintain their integrity and to continue to develop into responsible leaders for a sustainable post-pandemic world, so to say. So I will start with a very short introduction of summing up kind of the negative effects and consequences of the current situation on the students, on the young people. And we all, of course, understand, that the pandemic and ensuing economic and social consequences are hard on everyone, but they're especially hard on the young people. And besides the economic and social, consequences, we see now a lot of disturbing political events. I don't know, is that a coincidence or is that a consequence of, of the crisis? But We see the protests in the USA, and we see the situation in Belarus. We see this tension, I guess, new tension in the relationship between Europe and Russia due to the poisoning of our opposition leader. So, I mean, it's really, I mean, the times are very troubling. I would like to mention a very interesting report that has been prepared by the International Labour Organization, which is called Youth and COVID-19, Impacts on Education, Rights, Jobs, and Mental Well-being. So for those of you who are interested, I can later provide a link to it. And the report, it's new and has some disturbing findings that I would like to go over. So first of all, of course, it's bad prospects of employment as labor market is shrinking in many business areas, especially for those who graduated this year or who will be graduating next year. Of course, I mean, the consequences probably will be long-term, but we're hoping that the economy will, you know, get back to normal. But this year and next year, certainly the effects will be very well felt. So there is a lot of fear and concern among the young people about employment and their career prospects. The next thing is the impact on education. And according to the surveys, on average, 65%, and that's a big number, 65% of youth reported having learned less since the onset of the pandemic. That is, even though most of the schools were, you know, quite efficient in transitioning to online education, but unfortunately, you know, there is some detrimental effect in that also. And one of the reasons for this, also mentioned by the young people, it's not so much the technology, even though it is also a reason for it, but it's the absence of group work and social contact. And those are very important, I would say, key components of the learning process. I would like to add to this also, like I mentioned, I'm in charge of internationalization. And of course, internationalization took a very big hit due to the pandemic, due to COVID-19, with student exchanges actually coming to a halt last semester, and you know, probably this semester and maybe spring semester of 2021. Because I'm working with students on this, I see how frustrated they are, because for most of them, you know, this year was the only year in their studies where they could actually use this opportunity of studying abroad. And this is not, you know, happening. And we don't know what will happen in the second semester. And this is also bad for, you know, for our prime objectives, because exposing students to multicultural and international environment is one of the important factors for creating awareness, you know, about SDGs and, you know, social responsibility agenda as well. So this is all very sad. Then the next thing I would like to mention is mental well-being. Again, this severe disruption to learning has seen a deterioration in young people's mental well-being. According to the research I mentioned, 17% of young people are affected by anxiety and depression. And mental well-being is the lowest for the youth between 18 and 24 years of age. And this is exactly the age, you know, of our students, our bachelor and master students, 18 to 24. So this age group is most affected. And another thing also that I would like to add is the danger of political radicalization. You know, because with schools closed and then recreational and cultural activities are suspended, most young people are now confined to their homes, spending more time online, and their frustration combined with, you know, with growth of online extremist propaganda makes them even more vulnerable to online radicalization. I think this is a very important concern. So on the whole, students are not, on average, psychologically equipped to deal with those challenges. Often they do not have support of family, or friends due to isolation. So we need to think what we as educators, can do, because we may be the only thing they have actually, to help them pull through those difficult times. But at the same time, we as educators now have limited opportunities, to do this, because most of the attention has been directed to establishing online learning and making sure that studies within the curriculum are running more or less smoothly. So other things have been put off, aside, because everyone was concentrating on, switching to the new format of learning. And we need to think, what we can do now that we understand that this is not going to end, in the next month, as we were hoping, maybe in March. So many people thought that, in April, they thought, okay, a couple more months, then by summertime it will all be over and we'll start September, in the normal way, but it's not happening. We don't know whether it will get to normal to January. So we need to start developing some kind of strategy, maybe for a year to come, maybe for a year and a half to come. And this is certainly, the need to involve students in some activities, beyond the curriculum, also is related to many SDGs. It's health and well-being, education, decent work, peace and justice, and all those other things. So a few words about what we can do, what I think we can do. I think we need to schedule, maybe arrange some counseling, individual and group sessions in small groups with students, and this should be beyond their lectures or seminars, in specific modules. Because normally, even when students are studying, economics or whatever they're studying, it's easier for them to engage in discussions and discuss other things as well with other, group mates and with the faculty members, listen to various opinions. But now I think online classes are often less interactive, they are less spontaneous, and students have less opportunity to talk about things that are important to them. Then I think it's very important, like I said, a lot of extracurricular activities were actually put aside because they could not be done due to, social isolation and distancing. And very often the activities that are related to responsibility, ethics, and sustainable development are extracurricular activities. Well, in our case also, or they are more connected with some work with the community. I can give our example. We normally have a social project for students who are in their second year of studies. It's part of the curriculum. And this involves students going, out to the community and working with people with disabilities, and then orphanages and with homeless people and things like this. And we have always seen that as a very important part of educating the students. And actually, the students see it, in this way themselves. Now, what happened this year, it was not possible. So we have a whole cohort of students that have missed that and probably will not be able, we will not be able to make up that for them. So we need to make sure that this year we're ready, maybe, offering them some other kind of, volunteering, helping elderly, who cannot go out because of the risk of getting the illness. So it's very important to start developing some formats and activities beyond the curriculum with the students, so that they do not, they are not deprived of these opportunities. Then I think it's very important, I don't know what's happening in your universities, but it's important to get across to the top management that this needs to be done, because universities and schools are also in crisis. Top management is very much preoccupied with, financial issues and this transfer to online format of learning, and the programs that are normally bringing most revenue, such as executive MBA and MBAs, are suffering very much from online. A lot of clients in these programs are not very happy. So there are a lot of problems that top management have to deal with, and they may not, we need to make sure that they are aware, of those issues as well. And also career centers and deployment counseling, I think they should start looking at new ways of working with the students, because normally students would go to their office, for face-to-face sessions. Now it's not possible. Holding some online employment fairs, that may be good, but it's not enough. We and they, need to talk with students in small groups and maybe individually. And one last thing that I would like to say, that from my point of view, this interaction with students on a beyond curriculum, on more individual basis, so to say, would also be very beneficial for the faculty. We shouldn't, I guess, forget about the faculty. They are also human. They're also experiencing frustration and disappointment, challenged by the transfer to online teaching. I'm sure many of you, thus, are missing this live interaction with the students, discussions about things that are important. So basically, this is it. So if you have some examples of what your school is trying to do or might do, to tackle those issues, that would be very interesting to hear. So thank you for attention.
So thank you very much, Professor Evgenia. So if you can just also turn on the chat box, just to tell us, Kent can also just publish some link and some great info. But I would like to have a question. So just because the very recent research shows that there are also some may say opportunities or advantages of the lockdown and of this pandemic situation, because the number of international teams publications rose recently. And also what is also, I think just kind of interesting, just that the results of companies, those companies that have the online workers now, the results also rose. They are better than before the pandemic. So just the people who are online and work and just who publish online and make research online, but also those who are making their job online, being in big companies, they perform better, may say. So just.
Yeah, well, I agree with this. This is a little slightly different audience we're talking about. So researchers, in international teams, and I can understand why this is so, and why people sometimes are more efficient working from home, because basically they don't need to spend so much time on those things that are not related directly to their work and research, so and many people have noted this. I think the younger people are a little bit different, especially, like, I don't know at what age your students start, but we have like 16, 17-year-olds there, they're basically children. And then all of a sudden, they're sitting there at home, and they need guidance, I think, not all of them, but many of them. So they're not involved in research. It's difficult for them. They maybe do not have the level of consciousness yet, and self-discipline, to cope on their own. And then they may be lost, in whatever is going on in the world, with all those events. But regarding the research, regarding the faculty and people who work in big companies, I know that many companies actually are planning to let people work distantly after the pandemic, because it's a great cost-saving tool. They don't need so much office space. They don't need, overheads go down. On average, most of the employees are quite happy with. So I agree with that completely. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Whatever, just Gustavo, CHANDRIKA. I'm more than sure that,
Oh,
yeah.
I've just mentioned in the chat, we have a program together with Evgenia and SPJMR and External University in Colombia. It's called BZM. Is a exchange program. So we usually have this once in a year, and the students travel abroad for a week in each country, discussing business opportunities and interactions in emerging markets. And this year we shifted to online exchange programs. So the first round will happen in the following weeks, led by IBS Ranepa, Evgenia team. And after that, we will have this feeling because we will work with multicultural teams in different time zones. So we have Colombia in one side and we have India in other sides, like a really range of time difference. So the idea is have multicultural teams in local challenge. So it's a new experience for this new world.
We're very excited about, I mean, it's also the first time for us, and we're very excited to see how it goes. And we're hoping, I mean, it's a good way out in the current situation. But of course, you know, I mean, the original idea behind this was to actually be immersed in, you know, the environment of a specific country. So hopefully next year we'll be able to do this. Yeah.
Well, the others, just CHANDRIKA.
So at SPJMR, we also have a program which is part of the curriculum. It's a credited part of the curriculum. Part of the credit, students get credits for it. So the MBA students go out for almost 5 weeks to rural parts of the country, and it's like go to 26 states, more than 82 to 100 organizations, we send them to rural organizations to work with communities. They also go to neighboring countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, again, to work with social sector organizations and work with communities. This year, they actually got stuck. They got caught just when we were going for a lockdown. So we literally scrambled to get them back home because the lockdown was on. The lockdown came right in the middle of the social internship. We barely got, I mean, because the flights were getting canceled. But to the credit of the students, I think they continued building on it remotely. They continue to connect along with the organizations, with communities at the ground. And that was also the time when many of the communities needed that. Because when you have farmers, you have people working, weavers, you have people, issues of domestic violence are going up. And so they were working with those communities to work on those issues. And what was heartening was the students who had passed out actually stepped up to say, we want to volunteer. We're feeling very helpless. So we need to do something. We want to do something. So even the students who had passed out actually stepped up. So, and then they created, marketing platforms for products of farmers, for product of weavers, product of self-help groups where the women were creating small things and creating livelihoods. So it became, I think the impact is something which we never realized. It's a long-term tacit impact. And you begin to uncover it over a long period of time. So I think it resonated when we spoke about what those social internships do for the students and for us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, CHANDRIKA. So just that's one comment from me. Just Jacek tell me, I think just because we are having this online classes because of this pandemic. We have mainly online classes, and what is my experience or just my observation is that since we have this online, so I have the attendance of 100% of students, which never happened before, having the regular classes in the whole room. So like having a lecture and I have 100 students who are enrolled in this lecture, I have them online, which actually just, it's quite a new experience to me because at our school, the lectures are not obligatory. So the students, if they want to attend, they can. If they just don't want or don't have time or whatever, so they cannot. But of course, at the very end, they have to pass the exam. Yeah, that's the only requirement actually. So, and now I have lectures and I have 100% of attendees, and which is quite new to me. So that means that we can also have a greater opportunity to provide to students some more insights, some more information, some more sessions, so that they reach in a greater mass. Yeah, just that's what we have to say. So when I think just it's a kind of an opportunity, yeah, because wherever they are, they can join the class. Yeah, just and so we have had a great experience here with this chapter talk. Just we are globally spread out and just we're at different parts of the world. So just as Mette said, yeah, just for example, just the main issue was what time scheduled at the meeting to make available that to the people from different time zones. Yeah, just, and I think just that's a kind of a new challenges, but just this online teaching and the situation, which is a controversial, but I think just it creates more opportunities than possible failures. Yeah, just what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I would say that, you know, I would completely agree with that. And I think that after the pandemic, I mean, I think in our school, at least, part of the education will stay online. Especially when we're talking about lectures, which are just lectures, you know, and in fact, you know, I mean, it's a lot more, it's easier and more convenient for students to connect online. And like you said, we'll get 100% attendance. You know, seminars and discussions in small groups, they will continue to be face-to-face because that's a little bit different. But also, when you were saying that the pandemic gave us not only, you know, negative effects, but also, you know, opportunities, we can look, and if we look at the SDGs, for example, and there are many SDGs that sadly, you know, ironically, but they've benefited immensely because of the pandemic. I think, you know, overconsumption is down. People don't just, you know, go shopping all the time, buy things they don't need. They do buy online, but that's different, you know. For climate, it's been just nothing but, you know, but the good stuff. So I mean, there have been some positive effects. So I guess the challenge now is to make sure that we kind of keep, you know, at least some of the positive things that have happened after the pandemic is over, so that it does not jump back to where it was. You know, for the good things, that would be nice, but for the bad things, probably we'll be able to keep that, you know, slightly lower than before.
Gabor, Dusan.
Yes, yes, please. So thank you for the ideas. I was wondering what you mentioned, Mikołaj, about 100% presence. So did it happen like totally on a voluntary basis, or did you had any further tricks? Because yeah, we do not have only online, so we have a hybrid system. So like lectures online and seminars still offline, so physically in the classroom, but it's I wouldn't say it's about 100% presence even though online. So do you have any special hints beyond?
No, nothing like that. So just
good
all the time, or just like regular classes may say, but maybe that's something new to them and something interesting because of that. I don't know. So, but I have all the time camera on, so which is like a movement and the human face. Yeah, just that may also sometimes just. I know some professors do not have cameras on, so just think that might be something. But but just they have the opportunity, even if they just have an earphone in the ear, yeah, just listening to that while driving or doing whatever. So it's still worth to do that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, just one further question, maybe to all of you guys. So of course, so I'm visible all the time, but do you request students that they should also be visible, or minimum those who are talking or active or whatever? So what are your experience in this field?
I think at least in, I mean, I do request them, but I don't think one can insist on it because, India has, depending on where you're located, if you're in rural India or if you're in maybe in Jammu and Kashmir, where, it's literally practically under a different kind of political lockdown, people may not even have, the students may not even have access to the bandwidth necessary. So you do have issues of network. And I think it would be difficult, it would be wrong to assume that everybody has access to that kind of bandwidth. So we do face a lot of students actually, especially those who are in rural remote. So they have to conserve their bandwidth. So you've got to be, I think, be sensitive to that and allow them to switch it off. Of course, it takes away from the fact that, you don't know whether they're listening there or they're there or not. So I think it has to go on trust.
Yeah, just that the students that here we have that of course they have a broadband connection all the time. Yeah, just like a 5G, 4G, or how I don't know how many Gs, but all the time they say, oh, just my connection is weak, so just they don't want to show their faces. So it's very rarely that they agree to turn on video and have an access online. Just Dusan, what is your experience?
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the comprehensive commentary from Moscow, from the Presidential Academy. Thank you very much for the openness you are talking about the events we are witnessing around us from United States, from Europe, and in the East, in Soviet Union and China. Yesterday afternoon, we have had a very interesting online conference from the Czech Scientist Society. I am not a member of, but because I am working for the Academy of Sciences, I was invited to discuss the ethical challenges in academy. There are many problems with plagiarism and authorship and so on, but the end was, we have to talk about the ethics. We have nothing to do to write, to speak, to discuss, to organize the sessions, conferences, and to enhance the awareness about the ethical unconditional values. Its intention, me, with the empirism, because it is something what is not empirical, but we have ideals. We are believing in special values, and I think we are facing big philosophical and social challenges. Coming back to the online teaching, I have had maybe 80 international students in 3 classes. It was first time in our life to be in front of our camera. I am not an actor. My room is not the TV studio, but I have to say the students had to be more attentive. And I should make better preparation, because somebody could also record and want to record, because they have been in the United States, in Canada, and the time is different. So I have to be very careful what to say. Regarding the discussion, I have tried to open some general questions, but nobody has answered it. only 2 same, especially girls, students. But after that, I had to approach, namely, each student from the class and to ask him every hour what he's thinking about, what is his opinion, what would be his position, her position, answer, commentary, argumentation. And I think we need it also in the final examinations. And this is our job in Prime. I organized a personal 15-20 minutes final discussion with each student, face-to-face in the camera, and ask him, what do you think? What is your experience? What have you read? What would be your answer? what is your plan? What is your idea? And I have to say, I was very grateful for the students. The students are wonderful. And even I see that the competence is growing and the responsibility of teachers is growing, especially when they are closed in the flats. Now they have limited contact. So our discussion is very unique and very, very important because they are listening what we say. And I think I was very tired after that, but I was happy to be part of teaching staff. And today we have had a faculty meeting and the dean was very grateful for our achievements because I wanted to encourage us. I needed for myself every day to be encouraged in Prague, in Moscow, in West Europe, in everywhere to do our job seriously and on the highest level. This is what we can wish for us and for the students because they deserve it and we have promised it. Thank you very much for sharing the ideas.
Thank you, Dusan. Thank you. Jacek, just you raised your hand.
Yes, so I raised my hand, but actually Dusan answered a lot of it. I thought really that, of course, I observed that many students connect to our lectures, but the engagement, the level of engagement, I think is relatively low. So I think the key issue for all the online classes is how to engage the students much more, because they might be really too passive. And I think when you are in the classroom, they are much more active. And they are much more passive here in the classroom. So on the online than in the classroom. But I guess, you know, Dusan gave us some examples. I hope maybe we can still share, if you have some more experiences, more examples that you can give us to how to encourage students to participate, that would be great. But I have actually a couple of other observations. Going back to Evgenia's presentation, someone, I think, Mikołaj, you have said that companies are increasing profits now and are performing well. So what I have observed, I think many of us working at home, I guess we increase our costs of work. So look at your electricity bills, look at your maybe water usage and all these bills, you will realize a significant change, not just a small change, but a significant change. So this might be, of course, I mean, maybe this is only a small factor, but that could be improving companies' basically bottom line. So this is one observation which maybe we should also raise at some point. I guess thinking about that one, we thought at some point that maybe some faculty members at our school would say to get extra pay for the at-home teaching because they are using much more of their own physical capital, right? And also working capital too. Of course, we are saving on traveling to school. Maybe there are some benefits, but again, this has to be also taken into account. So this is maybe one observation to what Evgenia said, but I think I would like to add one more item to the discussion of social consequences of the pandemic, and maybe something which we can also think about that much more. So remember, we are talking about young people. Some of you say 16 years old, some of you say 22 years old. This is the time where you develop friendships for life. So, and you cannot do it online. I mean, friendship of this, that would last for life often requires really face-to-face meetings. So I think many of our young students, I will not speak of gender, whether this is men or women, but they are missing something here. They are missing here a lot, actually. They are losing some time in their life. So this is something which we should also consider. I guess, of course, you have mentioned some depression of students and some psychological bad consequences, but I think, yes, lack of possibilities for developing friendships between people in a direct way could be a major factor in that people's depression. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the great insight, Vanessa.
Thank you. So, Evgenia, what you were saying and what everybody has said now, it brought me to main topics that I wanted to ask if you guys have been addressing somehow. And what I've heard from everyone here somehow is about relationships. It's about the importance of community. And what I heard is like Dusan sharing is how excited he was about listening from the students what they want and what, like, it's about, it sounds to me like a co-creation somehow of a new system. And maybe I'm some steps ahead. What I wanted to ask actually is if you guys have been talking about this community building and the importance of this in the process of relating from a distance. If you have any kind, for example, of participatory leadership kind of tool or kind of gatherings, talking specifically about this, because it's hard and soon I'm gonna share where I'm speaking from, but mainly I work with this. I work putting together like the self-awareness worlds, like the therapy world and the entrepreneurship world. So it's always about who am I in the world where I am serving? And I understand that people, they want to understand how they can serve. And once we are too far away from each other, we don't really know if we're serving people or how we're serving. And of course we have researches, of course we have international gatherings, but there's something missing. And I feel like it's this really human, I mean, it's about the senses, it's about the emotions, it's about actually being in our bodies. So I just wanted to know about this, if you have these kind of talks or this kind of community tools, and also something that is related. Evgenia, when you said about the mental health, it's really, it's a topic that connects us, and I'm really worried about this too here. I don't know in the other countries, but here in Brazil, we are, for example, in the Suicide Prevention Month. And it's a really serious and deep topic here now. So I'm wondering if you guys talk about emotional awareness, emotional health, because I understand that somehow all these parts of the human existence are interconnected. So I've been working with this systemic view in order not to leave anything behind, but to bring everything together and understand how we affect not only each other and impacts the world, but how much my mental health impacts my emotional health and how much it affects my physical health, my spiritual health, everything connected. And I understand that in our society in general, emotions have been kind of neglected. We don't really know the power of our emotions. A lot of people don't talk about it. And so I would like to know this, how much you guys somehow have been, if you have been opening space for this, and I'm curious to know how it's addressed. And the connection between emotional awareness and communities, that the emotional awareness or emotional intelligence is the same as the relational intelligence. And because in relationships, our emotions arise, and then we have all this material to work with and to understand how we are feeling, facing all these experiences. And then we can come from a more genuine place to ask for a transformation or to propose transformation. So anyway, I hope I made myself clear, and it's a lot, it's very deep, so. Yeah.
So to answer your question, Vanessa, what we are doing about emotions, we're not doing anything. And I mean, at least in a conspicuous way. Okay, I'm sure there are faculty members who are more tuned into that than others, but on any systemic, level or anything, we don't do anything. We have been thinking about introducing an optional course, for those students who want to take it, maybe connected somehow, you know, with emotions and how you should lead with your emotions or whatever. I'm not a big expert on that, but I mean that was just discussion about that. We haven't done anything about that yet. So we'll probably come back to it, but let's say it's not in general on the top of the agenda. And I have a feeling that that's probably the same with the rest of us. So this is a new, I guess, approach which we haven't reached yet. Even though, I mean, what you are saying makes a lot of sense, but I don't think we're there yet. So maybe, you know, colleagues will correct me, but this is where we are.
Well, thank you very much. So, well, that was very insightful and very, that was very important comment, I think. Thank you very much. So, Vanessa, would you like to say, because just we are running out of time a little bit, as we scheduled that for 1 hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So just I'll give the floor to Vanessa. Then afterwards, we can have also some time to discuss and comment and ask questions and things like that. And then we wrap it up and
okay, so how much time do we have here, Miko?
Yeah.
How much time do we have just to try to...
Like maybe 20 minutes.
Great, okay. So first of all, thank you for your invitation. And for me, it's a beautiful opportunity to be here, uniting our experiences. I am curious to know if there is anyone else from South America or Latin America here. No? Okay.
Not really, but my last trip was to Latin America in February this year. After
yes.
They closed it down.
I have a Brazilian store nearby the place I live, so.
Okay.
So, but no, Gustavo, aren't you? You're from partly.
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, I'm from Brazil.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because your name made me think that you're from Brazil too. So it's great to be together here, Gustavo, because what I feel is that it's like a short and opportunity to represent Brazilian experience now. So Miko has invited me to talk about this, how to remain decent in leadership after studying, and when you do this transition from the academic world into the real world. And I want to talk about this. And also something that I want to address here is what my main work has been. I've been talking about leadership connected with self-awareness in what we call the new economies. I don't know if everyone here is familiar with the term of new economies. It's not really academic. It's a lot from this kind of alternative world. So here in Brazil, I'm a therapist and I'm a social entrepreneur and a facilitator and an artist. So I bring all these things together in events, in workshops, and in like private sessions for people. And I understand that the main, like the key words that has been connecting like the practical world, the material world, and the spiritual world, the emotional world, for me, it's all about love. It's all about bringing the feminine energy into the world, because I've been feeling like everyone is really tired of trying to solve all our issues only through our minds. And this is really serious. This is really serious. When I talked about suicide here, it's also related with this. Suicide is like another kind of pandemic that we don't really talk a lot about. So when I said that we don't talk about emotions, we neglect emotions because, for example, all of us, mainly the men, have for sure learned not to cry when we are kids. So we've learned that we cannot actually be humans. We've learned that we need to be like machines to be successful. So this, for me, is one of the major crises that we've been facing, and the pandemic is showing us that families, for example, are like breaking apart. Couples are breaking apart because we forgot how to dialogue. We forgot how to feel. We forgot really how to address the inner topics. So this is my main work, and I try to bring this from the private spaces into the wider spaces. That's why I'm starting this conversation with this topic. So there are really a lot of topics. I have no idea how I'm going to fit this into 20 minutes, but I'm going to try my best. Because Miko, for example, said that I'm here in front of the favela. So I live in Rio de Janeiro, which is in the southeast of our country. And it's a really super like overpopulated city. And it's a city of a lot of contrasts. Gustavo, where are you from in Brazil?
I'm in Curitiba.
Okay.
Kind of different.
It's in the south. So yeah, it's pretty different.
Reality.
And it's at the same time close if we compare. Yeah, because south and southeast are very close. And if we compare with the rest of the country, we somehow are in places some kind of privilege because we receive a lot of attention from the government. And there are a lot of parts of the country that I want to share this with you guys, like the north, the northeast, even the Midwest in some places. They're less, they're kind of forgotten in many ways. So that's where the indigenous people, the poorest people, I'm sorry, there is this microphone outside of my apartment. If you guys can't listen to me, please let me know and I'll repeat. So these parts of the country, they're kind of forgotten. That's where the poverty and the hunger and the diseases, they happen the most without the governments bringing a lot of attention. So this big wave of social movements happening around the world and in Brazil, it's really changing everything here now. And we have a big polarization, a political polarization. Since the last elections in 2018, we've started this huge social polarization in the end. And it feels like everything that's like the way we've started dialoguing during the elections 2 years ago is still the way we talk. So people are they are radically thinking differently and with a lot of pain and difficulty in bringing, in reaching a common point of view. And this is about relationship. This is about facing our emotions. This is about understanding that either we get together and collaborate and do something different, or we're going to just stay where we were. So there is a little bit of struggle. And I see that the social movements are always bringing up the urgent topics, the biggest pains of our society, and trying to make people be heard. And what I see is our leaders trying to just keep things the way they were, coming back to normal. And there is no way to come back to normal. We're never gonna go back to normal again. And anyway, so this is the process that we're going through here. And there's always a lot of corruption being revealed like every week. So this is a little bit of the scenario here. And anyway, so one thing that made me work with people from the favela and also indigenous people, this is the kind of work that I do here. My work is also about bridging all these people so we can connect and create this field of listening to each other. So we understand not only our pains, but we also understand our potencies. How can we work together? How can we learn from each other? How can we remember actually what we've come here to do as humans? How can we remember that we are actually sons and daughters of the earth, which I told Miko that I know that it could sound totally like a hippie talk, but this actually is what I have learned from native people, that we always need to go back to this point so we can really address our problems. Otherwise, it actually feels like superficial solutions that always bring us back to the same kind of problem. So what I want to bring here, it's a lot. And it makes me emotional. There are some days when we're more sensitive, so I'm trying to be like as objective as possible, but I have my emotions to share with you guys. You know, this is it. I feel that for the professors who were talking about how to deal with students here, I used to be a teacher, and sometimes I am, not all the time like in the academic as you guys are. But what I feel is that the more vulnerable I am with how worried I am, how painful it is also for me, the more my students or my colleagues join me in feeling and in trying to really change something from the roots, you know. So that said, I think it would be great for us to keep talking with a lot of more time, because I trust that we have a lot to do together, you know, all of us, not only people who are here in this call, but since we have this rare opportunity to listen to each other, I think that we have a lot to do together. And one topic that I want to address that kind of connects everything that I'm saying and our opportunity here is a topic of decolonization. So decolonization is mainly, well, a lot of people have been talking about decolonization. There are different schools talking about this. And the essence of decolonization that works for me is to remember that we are all part of the Earth system, the planetary system. And it's a way to live, to relate, to walk, remembering this, that we are part of the Earth system, that we are all interconnected. How the same way that Miko said, like one thing that happens like now, it's affecting faster and faster everyone, the rest of the world. And what happens in the other side of the world is affecting us. So there is, in my opinion, there is no more time to forget this. We cannot forget this anymore. And one expression that I've been working with in the decolonization process, helping people and organizations to rebuild their systems, is slowing down. So slowing down is a way to also slowing down our minds, our anxieties, and getting in touch with the deeper places that usually when we're rushing, we have no time to get in touch with. We don't even have the presence to get in touch with the deeper topics, the deeper feelings. So slowing down has been a really necessary way to operate the changes nowadays. And slowing down is not about stopping, it's not about being lazy. And I know that in our minds and egos, we think about this. We think that slowing down is like maybe stopping. And anyway, but the pandemic has showed us, and the isolation has showed us that we can slow down. And there are good consequences of slowing down too. Anyway, this is all a way to, I'm trying to read a question here. Okay, we'll talk about it later. That's it, guys. I think that I'm really happy to see people from other ethnicities here, from India and Africa, and I hope that in the very near future we have like indigenous people talking together too, because the way that I've been seeing that we can reach a more successful solution and way of living and addressing the questions that we have is when we have a diversity of voices and of experiences. So actually I feel more relieved. I feel like when it's only people like me, really similar to me, I feel like there is something that we're gonna miss. There is something that we're not gonna actually be remembered. So I'm happy when I see a diversity of people talking, because then I feel like the collective body is more intelligent, it's more aware. And that's it. So just sharing a little bit of practical terms, how I've been working with this year. I've created and I direct a project which is turning into an organization named Holos. Holos means whole, entire. So it's about unifying not only people from different places, but also unifying our human parts that we've forgotten. So for example, the emotional side or the spiritual side. So HOLOS has been operating as an organization of social innovation connected with ancestrality, with ancestral technology. And what does it mean? It means that we are looking at the future without forgetting our past. We're trying to step into the future, always remembering to honor the ones who have come before and honor what they've taught us, especially the native traditions and the colonized people. So what we've been doing here is we've been especially throwing like festivals, running festivals. And there is one special festival that I want to talk about to you, which is called Colabora America. It's a new economies festival that we've done for 4 years in Brazil. And we bring people from all over the world, but especially trying to focus in Latin America to share the practices of the new economies. And new economies are actually bringing back to our traditional economy the ancestral knowledge. We're remembering how to sit in a circle, how to dialogue. We're remembering that nature is important. Sometimes it's important to just like be out in nature instead of being indoors all the time, and learning from nature, designing our systems inspired in nature. Just like, for example, in biomimetics that maybe a lot of people here have heard about. And HOLOS has been this place with Colabora America, where instead of just talking about things, we go a bit deeper and we experience these conversations in dynamics, in facilitations, in like group dynamics, creating projects together, and that's it. I can share soon our material as soon as we have captions in English with all of you. And about how remaining decent, Miko, that we really asked me to bring here. What I can like summarize is really listening to our hearts, because if, well, I'm not saying this because I'm a person who is always connected with my emotions or listening to my heart, but I'm also like a very mental person. And I understand that once we feel the pain that we're causing ourselves with our demands, with our recipes of success, then somehow we can understand the impacts that it may also have in other people. So we kind of change from inside to the outside. And listening to our hearts, sometimes it's also a way to look around. It's a way to bring the spiritual awareness, mental health, the awareness, into the social context. So how can I work? How can I do my inner work and at the same time serve my community, my society? So for me, it's been about in these actually 10 years of new economies in my life, it's been about looking at the social context and doing my inner work, and always doing this balance. We look a little bit inside, we bring people, students, everyone to look inside, ask what they really want, what their purpose is, help these people find their purpose, and then we go back outside. There is a quote from Aristotle. It says, where my talents meet the needs of the world, there it is my vocation, my calling. So I understand that one of the main things to help students deal with all this transition that we're facing, it's actually helping them look at their talents, find their talents, develop their talents, trust their talents, and connect these talents with the needs of the world now. And then somehow we're building like a system with more purpose. And I think that's it. There's a lot more that we could say here, but oh, and I just wanted to share a reference that that is from a British woman. She's an economist. Her name is Hazel Henderson. And she talks about the love economy. I haven't invented love economy. It's a term that has been used in this field, where we've been studying like complexity theory, the field of emergence, anyway, new economies. And she says that love economy is the economy of the human capital. Love economy is the economy where all these caring services are present. So somehow I see all of you who are talking about education and caring for people, somehow all our services are in this love economy. And there is this cake, the cake of economy. So the first layer, there are 3 layers. The first one is the materials economy. And that's the only one that we've learned how to value in our education. And the second one is the love economy. Love economy is how to value humans. And the third one, that is the one that we see the least, is the ecosystem services, like how nature serves us so we can be here every day, and we need to value this. So for me, this is the work. It's actually distributing our attention between all these economies and learning how to do this little by little, and in these conversations, and bringing this somehow into this new education that we have now the opportunity to start building. So anyway, just I want to make myself available to talk about it in more details, and to join, and also to learn from your experience, to keep learning from this. I think that's it. Thank you for your attention. Miko, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the great insight, and something I think just was and as just like a voice from a little bit different world. What do you think? It's just so just we are more about statistics and correlations and stuff like that, and I just and the love economy. So that's what I really Evgenia, can you relate to that, because that also results from your presentation, and Vanessa said that we should not teach, but we should take care of students. So what do you think about that?
Well, I would actually like to go back to the last, I think, Prime Champions meeting. There was an interesting thing said by somebody from the UK, I think it was from the UK, that in some countries students are mostly looked upon as clients. Okay, so students and universities, it's like this company and client relationship. So we're supposed to provide educational services. And there was some discussion about this, that I mean, this is probably not the right approach. You know, we should not be looking at ourselves as somebody who just provides some kind of services, you know, to keep the client happy, because I mean, it takes a lot out of the, you know, real relationship between faculty, educators, and students. So yes, I think, you know, in the Soviet tradition and the Russian tradition, so to say, educating and just teaching students, you know, some hard stuff like mathematics and economics is one thing, and the other thing is educating and taking care and instilling moral values. And so we're not talking about what kind of moral values, you know, in the Soviet times. I mean, that's beside the point here, but the point is that you need to help students develop also as human beings, you know, and you know, instill some ethical norms in them, and so on. So taking care of students and helping them is another step, I guess, towards this direction, that there has to be, you know, meaningful relationship, multifaceted relationship, I think, between students and educators. So yeah.
Miko, if you allow me saying something, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this, for distinguishing this, right? Because of course we don't have the time to do everything at the same time. We need to choose, and it's great. And I just want to know, I want you guys to know that I'm trying to be careful in order not to sound like arrogant, bringing a really different perspective, as if it's like correct or anything like this. I just know that the time is really short, and I wanted to share really as deeply as I could the feeling that that actually makes us act here. This is some kind of activism, that I call like sacred activism actually. But what I want to say about what Evgenia has beautifully pointed here is that I trust that along the way, somehow we manage to cross these things. And it's not an obligation. It's not something that has to be done. It's always something that needs to be something that we want genuinely. That's it, you know. That's what I really believe. And this is something that came up in my conversations with Miko before coming here. For me, it's about helping people make decisions about what they truly want to commit with. And all these interconnections, I think they're kind of natural when we start talking with really different worlds and different topics. There is a feeling that there is never going to be enough time to address everything. So somehow the field of diversity makes us start thinking like this. But again, there is no rush. It's really about slowing down somehow. There is no obligation. It's about us feeling interested. So that's it. I would love to know we can connect what we've said, what Evgenia said before, everybody said. Anyone have a question?
So thank you very much. Thank you. Just are there any comments, whatever?
Can I have a suggestion, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
little bit unrelated to this, but very related to in terms of connections. We were just discussing related to. Sorry, it seems my video is not working. I'm so sorry because of the connection. Actually, we are in the middle of the Middle East. So there is not so much connection with the other side of the world. We have students, they don't know what to do. And I think the COVID-19 situation could be a great opportunity for all of us as chapters to connect the students itself, because they are already in online learning. They are already in Zooms. They are already speaking to the faculty. However, we didn't have this infrastructure before. Now maybe it's a good idea to, as chapters and as champions, to bring the students together and let them at least discuss what is the real things, like their emotions, like how they manage with the COVID and what kind of things can be done. Let's listen to them, and we as faculty and the Prime can be the channel for them to get connected. What do you say? What do you think about it? Is it possible? What are the ways? So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ebrak. So just what do you think?
I think we can start from the localized chapters. By the way, the Middle East chapter, I think it's a question at the moment. But at the chapter level, each region can connect to each other. And by using the PRME platform, we can easily create some groups, some activity groups for the certain SDG related or, different topics that we could find. And it's all about the Prime even. I mean, introduction of the Prime by using these channels and let them know that there are other students in the other side of the world. They are still thinking in the same way, like each other. So this could be a good starting point, and we can start transferring our emails and maybe creating a subgroup for the student connection if there is, it is not available yet. So this may be a good start, and then anyone can participate to that one.
But maybe
Mette?
I could say one thing. Thank you, Japrak, for this wonderful suggestion. And I think, in this virtual room, we already have a lot of experience on doing exactly that. Evgenia, Gustavo, and also CHANDRIKA. I mean, your collaborations already have, maybe you've even formalized this. I don't know, Japrik, what you're suggesting, maybe, I don't know to what extent you're thinking of something more formalized and less formalized, but actually to think how we could do something that could engage a lot of students and be very helpful for them. I think that's a wonderful idea. And I think we could maybe draw on Evgenia, Gustavo, and CHANDRIKA's experiences already.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I think we just started. That was like just the beginning of that what we are going to do in the future, and just the beginning of our regular talks. I hope so. So just as we are even now, just I'm sorry that it took a little bit too long, but I think it's worth it. That was worth it. And just at the very end, we just started the discussion about the COVID and the situation of our universities, and we have just the insight from the social entrepreneurs, Vanessa, just how it might be perceived from a different perspective, not that formal, not that say structuralized and on the structured well, but also just closer to people and I think that's something that we should think of. And just thank you, Evgenia, for a great presentation. Thank you, Vanessa, from an absolutely amazing insight. I just thank you, Mette, for being with us and for opening this and allowing us to run this platform. And well, just if you had any comments at the very end of just our new tradition. That's a first meeting, and I hope that we can meet in the future.
May I have one idea?
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much for everything. I have to leave to another meeting, but the idea I have written, maybe if we have contacts to each other, I would be able to invite anybody for a 1 hour lecture online to my teaching, and the same I can offer to anybody regarding topics we can write, and only to create a common platform. Maybe you can open to share our addresses, mails, and we can start to share also our ideas and to offer our own maybe 45 minutes presentations to each other included in our teaching. Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you, Dusan, thank you, bye. So, any final comments?
I just want to say thank you so much, Mikołaj, for taking this first round. I think it was a wonderful discussion with a lot of valuable input about some of the challenges that we're facing right now. I think a lot of topics were touched upon, and of course, like Vanessa also said, we don't have enough time to really get into depth with all of it. But even the political polarization that Evgenia was focusing upon in your going back to the ILO report, I think is something that we should also focus upon. Maybe it's not on top of our agenda, but we can see it's happening. We should really think collectively about how do we meet that when we see that in the virtual classroom, or maybe even before we see that. I think that's very helpful. And then, of course, one of my own favorites, the student engagement, which has become a further challenge yet. How do we ensure that there's student agency in those virtual classrooms? It's not a trivial question. It's not an easy thing to do. But anyway, just thank you, Mikołaj, and thank you all.